Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. We will be talking about the problem with public schools. Now, there is a plethora of problems with public schooling in the United States. There's the problem of the students themselves, there's a problem with the teachers, there's the problems with the idea of what school is. And then there's a problem with the funding and the end goal of school. To be honest, school is a long and arduous task. It's a long and arduous process that people put their kids through so that their kids can have the best chance in life. And education is an important thing. Unfortunately, the public school system fails a lot of kids because once they get into it, they are put into a myriad of mediocrity. Now, what does that mean? Students, most of them, many of them actually, they come into school and they feel that it's a grind because they're spending most of their adolescent life and their child life in these institutions. They just take 8 hours a day for 5 days out of a week for most of the year. Now, what does this do to them? If their parents didn't instill a large reason to have education inside of the child, or to succeed in education, instead that they told them, well, just get through it, and when you make it to college, you'll be able to do a lot of things. You'll be able to find that dream job you want. You'll be able to get to the top and make a lot of money, but you need to get through this education part. You need to get to college and you need to find out what you want to do along the way. Now, the problem with that is that when you're in high school, you're just feeling like, oh, it's another day. The end is far, far away. So why should I work hard right now? I should just, I guess, get a C, get a B, as long as I don't get an F. That's the most important thing. And some people even feel like an F is okay. That's the lowest achievers. And that's what happens in life. You have low achievers and then you just have a large medium. And then there's a few top people. Those people are going to be the most successful ones because they understand the importance of an education. Now, these students, when they get to the end of their long grind in high school, they'll arrive into college. They'll arrive into universities and they'll say, hey, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And now that's a huge question unto itself. A lot of kids, they had hobbies when they're growing up. Some said, hey, I like art. I'm going to become an artist. I can draw really good. I'm going to learn how to sketch. I'm going to become a professor in sketching. I love video games, so I might want to go into an animation school or a effects school or something in that manner. Some of them actually go into computer science, which is not bad. But when you get into college, there are only certain fields that actually matter. These are mostly the STEM fields, the ones that use a lot of math, a lot of cognitive abilities. You need to think critically in these fields, and most people, because they're lazy, they don't want to do that. So what they do is they might major in history, they might major in becoming an artist, they might major in a whole just open, wide area of different kinds of professions. But the thing is, a lot of those degrees, there aren't job openings for them. Where will you usually find a job opening for a historian or for an artist? And do you need to become an artist, or do you need to get a degree in artistry to be an artist? The thing about it is a lot of these arts degrees, you don't need to go to school for it. You need to have a lot of talent. You need to understand what you can do better than everybody else. And you need to just have a lot of ability. and get to know a lot of people so that you can move up in the world of art. But once you get that degree in art, what are your options? Do you want to become a barista at Starbucks? Well, hello, that's what's going to happen. So, what then is the next step if you're not going to find anything on art? Well, there's academia. You can teach someone else the art you just learned. And you know where you can teach it? You can either teach it in college, you can teach it in high school, and usually that's going to be the public schools, because to find a private school job, those are the best. The ones that pay a lot, you're going to have to go to a prestigious college a lot of times. You're going to have to know very well your subject, and you're going to have to be an excellent teacher. You're going to have to show that you're an excellent teacher, and that takes experience. And how are you going to have experience when you just came out of college? Well, you're not. You're going to go to a crappy high school, or maybe a mediocre high school, because a lot of them are just mediocre, and you're going to teach to kids that are mediocre themselves. They don't really care. You might find a couple that do, you'll find some that don't, and it's not a good environment. So these teachers, they come out as from a mediocre standpoint as students, and they become mediocre teachers. And what that does is that it gives the students that are already there, that are not very interested, a boring teaching routine. So they get taught by this one person for a whole school year in a boring fashion a lot of times, and they don't get a lot out of what they're learning. Some of those students might love this field, but because of the teacher, they're just not feeling like making progress in it. So that's a big problem in itself. That's teachers and students, as well as getting wrong fields when you're in college. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting a college degree. They are important, but you should look into the best ones. You should look into maybe accounting, maybe a degree in STEM field, like engineering, like becoming a medic, becoming all these things that require a lot of time and a lot of critical thinking, a lot of just it might be grinding in itself, but you know, the ends justify the means. So these kids will get through there, and some of them will go into the STEM field because they understand what a degree is. A lot of them won't. They'll go in there, waste a lot of money, and they'll come out and they'll say, hey, teaching seems like the only way that I can make money. So they go into the schools, they teach with a lot of mediocrity. And these kids, they're the kids that are growing up and getting into college, they just don't have a lot of reason to keep pushing on in college, because for all their life, they've been getting by with mediocrity. And how can this be remedied? Well, teachers could be paid more by school systems, and school systems could get more funding. But the problem is, where does this funding come from? Because funding is actually pushed on to the taxpayers. Now, I, for one, as a taxpayer, do not want to pay extra taxes so that some snot-nosed child can get better education. And that's a problem for me. Maybe other people want more education, a better quality education for the teachers. The only way that I can see this possible is more funding for the teachers, so the teachers actually feel like, hey, I should do my very best. But at this moment, they are not. Because they're not making enough money, and they just don't like dealing with the crap at their job. Now, a lot of these ideas, they are a lot of the ideas that public school systems are improving. There's that. Some school systems are improving, but a lot of them, they just stay mediocre. And that's the whole thing about public school systems. It's mediocre. Private schools, they're in another league. They make sure that student understands education and that the student actually enjoys it. A lot of times they make sure that they enjoy it. That's an important part of learning, because they require absorption of all of the material that is out, that is inside of their courses and everything. And when they get to college, they say, hey, I understand the process that schooling takes. I understand that education is an important thing, and I'm going to do my best. And a lot of them do their best. Not everybody, but that's just how life is. But anyhow, teachers, wrong fields, students, and the lack of funding, those all add to this problem of public schools. I, for one, hope that they will improve across the board so that the United States can have the best scholastic population and that our people can become very intelligent and educated. Because that's what the world needs. It needs educated people so that they can develop technology, they can specialize in whatever they're great at. That's what they need. And when I say education, that could be anything. That could be they could become the best plumber. That doesn't require going to college. That requires going to a trade school. So trade schools are also a good thing. Keep in mind, everybody, that as long as you're getting skills and you're part of a skilled workforce, you can achieve what you want. If you're the best plumber ever, well, you're going to get the pay of the best plumber ever. But that all falls onto you. So, with all that in mind, just keep in mind that if you're a kid in school, that you are the one that decides your future. And if you're in college, you still have a lot of time to choose what you can do. If you are, I recommend that you think hard and well on what your degree is and find out what jobs are worthwhile for that degree. If it doesn't have any jobs, I say drop it. Well, anyhow, everybody, if you like this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. Goodbye.